Today on the Kyle Peterson Top 5, we're counting down the top 5 Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures of 2021. Welcome everyone, Cowboy Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another Kyle Peterson Top 5 Countdown. As we are in the thick of it, we're in the end of 2021, and no time is better than now to count down our top 5s and top 10s of all the different action figure lines that I love and you guys love out there as well. And today on the channel, we're counting down the top 5 Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures of 2021. An interesting year for Build-A-Figures. Some of the best Build-A-Figures and some of my least favorite Build-A-Figures actually that come out of this year. Build-A-Figures are great. I talk about them, I sing their praises all the time on the channel, as I do truly feel, putting that business hat on, it convinces people to buy figures they normally would not get to be able to complete a really cool Build-A-Figure. And I also love about the Build-A-Figures is it is a way to get a bigger, larger than normal size character into the line without having to have a deluxe one-off that maybe wouldn't sell at retail so well. You know, there's some of these characters that I don't know if people would pay $30, $40 for on a one-off, but if they get pieces with other figures, it truly feels like we're getting those figures for free. So it is a science, it's genius. I would love to see other wrestling lines, G.I. Joe lines, Star Wars lines adapt some of this Build-A-Figure potential. We're seeing Mattel Elites doing this with some of their pay-per-view series, but that's only 3 series a year. With wrestling, there's so many figures, so many suited guys, other guys, ancillary characters you can get into the lineup. Same thing with the Star Wars Black Series. How great would that be if we had a Build-A-Figure line? I know some people wouldn't like it, but I would, because we could get some of those Cantina aliens, some B-level creatures, C-level creatures that probably wouldn't sell on their own, but we'd get them as a built-in Build-A-Figure. I think that would be perfect. And I truly think the Marvel Legends team does it right with these Build-A-Figures. I hope 2022 is just spectacular. I hope they top this year in Build-A-Figures. And I just love the Build-A-Figures. That's where we get to. And we're going to do this like we do all the other reviews, the top 5 countdowns, I should say, on the channel. We count it down from number 5 to number 1, with number 1 being my favorite one. And number 1 for 2021 Build-A-Figure of the year. You guys in the comments, put your list down there. Put them in order, though. It's real easy to rattle off 5, but putting them in order is the hard part. So that's the challenge to you guys. But let's kick it off at number 5. All right, we kick off the top 5, as voted by me, Build-A-Figures for Marvel Legends of 2021 with a sleeper. This was the figure I didn't know I needed, is what this was. Talk about a C/D level villain that really never caught my eye in my comic book reading times. I didn't know when they announced this was the Build-A-Figure. I said, I don't remember that character. Then I looked him up. I got a Marvel encyclopedia, and then you Google search these things, and pictures popped up, and I said, oh yeah, forgot all about this guy. And that's why he was the Build-A-Figure I never knew I needed that I needed. And I think a lot of people joined in on a lot of fun very early in 2021 on this one. So maybe some of you guys have forgot about this one. But who am I talking about? Who came in at number 5 for me? We're talking about Stilt-Man. Yes, Stilt-Man, the Spider-Man Daredevil villain out there. Like I said, a C/D level villain. I mean, he's got stilts. Is that big a deal? But the coolness of this figure, I love that this is a Build-A-Figure, because by himself, I don't foresee this guy really jumping off the shelves, but as a Build-A-Figure, a great idea. And then kudos to that Marvel Legends team. Man, they really knocked it out of the park with this one, because you can make Stilt-Man as big as you want. There's pictures out there that have him like 2 floors high, and there's some that just do the traditional one with just the one set of legs. But what the Marvel Legends team did is they knew the Hand Ninja. The Hand Ninja was part of this wave as a regular figure, and you know what they did? They were nice enough to the collectors out there. They're thinking about the collectors. I mean, once again, kudos to that Marvel Legends team, because they seem to have their fingers on the pulse about the best of any of our action figure lines we like. They truly know what the fans want and what a collector would do with this. So what do? They put the extra legs with the Hand Ninja, knowing collectors out there are going to army build the Hand Ninja. So you're getting your army builder, but you're also getting your leg builder. So you got extra legs. So I got my Stilt-Man sky high. I got, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of legs on this guy. That's what I have. And, you know, part of me thinks that maybe it's too high. I'm thinking about taking him down to about this size. It gets a little ridiculous when it gets a little high. But to each their own, as we always say on the channel, choose your own adventure out there. But I thought this was just a genius idea, a genius use for the Build-A-Figure, a character most people would not buy on their own, a deep cut character, but then the extra legs that you can get with an army builder. It's just an amazing piece when you wrap it all together, an amazing plan that I think worked very well, and that is why Stilt-Man came in at number 5 for me on my top 5 Build-A-Figures of 2021. All right, we're at the number 4 spot, and I got my finest Western wear on. As I said, you guys know I love Kenny Rogers Western wear, vintage 80s collection. Absolutely love it. I got about 20 different Western shirts in my collection, and this is the time of year you break out the good shirts. You break them out for these year-end award lists, and that's exactly what I did. And at number 4 for us in this Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Countdown is a sleeper one, and I think this one is a lot of people passed on it. A lot of people did not build this one, and I think there's going to be a lot of regrets in the future. So I'm saying right now, if you're on the fence, get after this while you can, because this is a sleeper Build-A-Figure. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Mr. Hyde. He comes in at number 4 for me. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, we all know about him. He was a part of the Shang-Chi wave out there. Now, we know about that wave. That thing hit the clearance pegs. It took forever. It did not move. So I think a lot of people passed on it, maybe picked and chose a few characters, if that. So I don't think a lot of people in the scope of the world built this Build-A-Figure. And if you didn't, you're really missing out. Some of the detail here, the hands, just the kind of gnarly Mr. Hyde hands, the cane with the different textures to it, just amazing. Big green suited figure. Another CD level villain, I guess you'd call it out there, but you need these kind of guys, and I don't think we're ever getting another Mr. Hyde, maybe 10, 15 years from now. So this is your chance to get this Build-A-Figure, and like I said, he is really cool, really gnarly looking, a sleeper Build-A-Figure. I don't know, when I saw this on the list, I didn't really have great memories of Mr. Hyde. He's not like a top character, as we all know out there, but I thought this was done very well. I love how big he is. You can have guys swarming around him, fighting him off in your display. I just like these deep cut characters that you can have squaring off against the Avengers, whoever you want. So a deep cut, and one that I think flew under a ton of people's radar with the disappointment of the Shang-Chi wave. And I should say, shouldn't be a disappointing wave. That was a very strong wave. It was just COVID delays of the movie causing them not to align and synergize, as they say out there. And that hurt this Build-A-Figure, in my opinion, out there. But for me, Mr. Hyde, the Shang-Chi Build-A-Figure, coming in at number 4. All right, we're at the halfway point. Have you got your list together? Make sure you put it in order 5 to 1, 1 being your favorite Build-A-Figure of 2021 in the Marvel Legends headspace. But number 3 for me is an interesting one. You guys that watch the channel, you know things I like out there. And one thing I like, hairy bipedal creatures. Yes, like a Bigfoot, like a Sasquatch. I love hairy bipedal creatures. And number 3 is one. Who is it, you say? Any guesses? It's old ZEMNU. Yes, ZEMNU, the Incredible Hulk villain. Now, this is another one of those characters I wasn't fully aware of. I said, I don't think I even know who this is. Looked it up, and I said, oh my, this looks great. It looks like a werewolf, a Sasquatch out there with a helmet on and some crazy hand stuff going on. Didn't really know much about it, so I looked it up. He was an old school Marvel character from way back in the day, then brought up to fight the Hulk later on. And then there was a current story, or somewhat more recent, with him fighting the impossible Incredible Hulk, or the Compound Hulk, I guess they call it. The Compound Hulk with Impossible Man, all that kind of stuff. But the Compound Hulk, it was interesting. We got this. We should have assumed that Compound Hulk was going to be released, and that was released in 2020 as well, to kind of go with ZEMNU, and that's where I'm going to go with my display as well. But white fur, hairy bipedal creature, like I said, this is right up my alley. A fun one to build, and a bit of a sleeper one, but once again, a deep cut villain, which most Build-A-Figures seem to be villains most of the time. But a deep cut big villain that I don't think they'd be selling for their own for $30 or so out there. But I'm here for it. I'm here for it all day. Had a lot of fun building this one. So ZEMNU, number 3 on my top 5 Build-A-Figures of 2021. All right, we're down to the final 2. I keep saying it, get your list together, but final 2. fairly easy for me to discern against who I wanted to be number 1, number 2, but number 2 is one that has been growing on me. Ever since I unboxed this one, if you guys watch my reviews, I do all the sets, and then at the very end, I rank the set from my favorite to least favorite for each Marvel Legends wave. And this one, I think, was number 2 on my list of the ranking the wave, I think. He just missed out on number 1. If I had to do that list over again, he may be number 1. As like I said, this one has been growing on me, and this comes from a comic book arc that I loved as a kid. I was in my prime reading years, so I was all in. It's a very controversial wave collection storyline comic books out there. It seems like you either love it or you hate it, with a lot more people hating it for some strange reason. But like I said, I was involved deeply, heavily in the story arc as it was happening, so maybe that's, I got blinders on, you could say. But number 2 for me comes from the Age of Apocalypse wave. Who is it? It is Colossus. Now, here is a good guy, our first good guy here in the waves of top 5s for the end of the year, but a big, hulking Build-A-Figure. We've had previous Colossus in the Marvel Legends wave, but this is my favorite one. It's a different twist. Obviously, all the characters had a different twist in the Age of Apocalypse, but this is a character you look at, you say, I know this is Colossus, but something's changed, something's different. Almost looks like a silver pirate, but I love how big and bulky he is. He is bigger than the traditional Colossuses we've gotten in the past. Just a lot of good color to him. The red, the silver, the yellow, the good boot molds going on. I love the face sculpt on here. Just a heck of a lot to like about this figure, and I don't know if I would have guessed he would have been in my top 5. I wouldn't have guessed he would have stole my heart and never let go, and he keeps growing on every single day. I don't think he'd ever eclipse number 1 for me, but to get to number 2 for where I didn't even think he'd be on the list is a pretty big swing of things. And this one is just hitting retail right now. Walmart's, Target's, Big Bad Toy Store, link in the description below, of course. They're starting to ship these out. So if you're on the hunt for this, you like the looks of this, there is still plenty of time to get this for retail if you buy the wave out there. I definitely recommend it. I do love this Colossus, and that is why he is number 2 on my top 5 list of 2021. All right, here we are. We're at the number 1 spot of my top 5 Build-A-Figure figures of 2021 from Marvel Legends. Do you have your list together? Make sure you put it in the comments. And like I said, put it from number 5 to number 1. That's the fun of it. But an interesting one comes in at number 1. I'm sure some of you guys out there, knowing what I like, you're probably going to guess what this is. But this one I knew. When they showed it on those Hasbro Marvel Legend Team live streams, I said, oh my gosh, I don't know if it gets better than this. I want this so bad. And it did not disappoint in hand, which you guys know that sometimes happens. This one stole my heart from the get-go, and it never let go. And what is number 1? Well, I'll tell you what, it's a hairy bipedal creature. Oh yeah, hairy bipedal creatures, I'm all about it. You guys know that. And who's number 1? From the Iron Man wave, we've got Ursa Major. This Ursa Major is something else. This is like a big grizzly bear. Absolutely love it. Just beautiful. I love the white of the eyes. I love the fur. I love the paws. I love the spikes. It's just everything I want in a Build-A-Figure. It's giant. It's hairy. It's bipedal. Sign me up all day long, like I said. So beautiful, beautiful. Part of a mixed bag Iron Man wave. That was a pretty good wave, but I think it flew under a lot of radars out there. Got clearanced out at Walmart's and Target's, unfortunately. I am seeing a resurgence of that wave at the local comic shops, so your Fan Central type places, your comic book shops, toy shops out there. So you have a second chance to pick this one up. I strongly recommend you get this. And this is another one of those figures, much like Croc Master we're getting in 2022 from the G.I. Joe line that comes with the big alligator. I can see collectors using this for different things. Everybody needs a big bear in their collection. Maybe you're in a G.I. Joe. You could put this against Snake Eyes. I think when we did the review of this, I know Snake Eyes, it was a polar bear, but you could paint this if you wanted to. But I could see this being used with G.I. Joes. You could use this with wrestling figures. Remember back in the day, wrestlers used to wrestle bears. You could do that, for example. There's a lot of uses out of this outside of just the traditional Marvel Legends universe. And just even standing on its own on a shelf, this thing looks amazing. This catches your eye. It's just a beautiful, beautiful Build-A-Figure, a beautiful figure, all in all. Absolutely love this one. So it was definitely, no question, going to be number 1. When I first started jotting down what was going to be on the list, I started with number 1 because I knew there was no defeating this one for me. Ursa Major, I'm all in. But what say you guys out there? Do you have your top 5 list? Is there any I missed? Is there one you would put on and take somebody off? Is there one you hated? Is there one you loved? let me know in the comments down below. But I really do love these Build-A-Figures. I hope Build-A-Figures continue forever as long as the Marvel Legends line goes, because it's an extra fun of the collection, chasing down the pieces, getting put together, and it feels like a free figure. And I will say I do have the Marvel Legends top 10 figures of 2021 video to come. I'm going to do top 10 on those, where this was a top 5, and these Build-A-Figures will not be part of that top 10. So just for you guys keeping track at home, Build-A-Figures got their own list. Regular, all the other lines out there are fair game for the top 10 out there. So just a little note on that. I'm thinking I might do a top 5 MCU figures and top 10 comic figures, but I'm working that out. We'll get to it. Best way to follow along, though, is subscribe to the YouTube channel. Of course, hit the notification bell. You don't want to miss a second. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you follow me on social media, SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson, and of course, ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson, support the channel. So for the top 5 Build-A-Figures of 2021, I am Kyle. See you guys all real soon.